All right, so what are my values in the workplace and how did I come to get those values? I would say it definitely comes from my experience working. I've had a number of jobs, a million different jobs with a bunch of different leadership and managerial techniques. But I think I'll focus on two that really kind of shaped my beliefs now and the type of workplace I'd like to live in or work in, rather. And one of the first ones was a restaurant I used to work for back in my early 20s. I think I was 21 years old. I was living in New York City, and this was one of my first kind of full time job experiences. This was a very kind of hands off style of management. And essentially, what it was a brand new restaurant. It didn't have a very clear vision of what it wanted to be as a business. So it was kind of in between a coffee shop and an actual restaurant. The owner kind of came in with his vision, got everything set up for us, and then essentially left. And we had a number of general managers while I was there. None of them were really good at communicating with the employees, such as myself. So it was really difficult to kind of get a particular system going. So we would continuously run out of food. We'd be really slow on orders. We'd get a lot of customer complaints, and the general manager wouldn't be there to handle these things. So as a result, as a server, I remember leaving the restaurant numerous times to go buy food in the middle of an order because we ran out, and then I would be the one that would have to come back and appease the customer and make it up to him because the manager wasn't there. And whenever you tried to reach out to the owner, they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to know what was happening. He had his own second company, which he worked at, and kind of thought this restaurant would just be a side moneymaker for him. And that management style just didn't work, obviously. By the time I was there for about 2 years, or maybe not that long, maybe a year and a half. And the final manager, who we really had a problem with just because we didn't know what was going on with our schedules, the kitchen was constantly disorganized. We really wanted to get this message across to the manager, and it ended up turning out that that general manager was stealing from the restaurant budget and using it for her bills and luxury items. The owner eventually ended up finding out about it through an accountant and ended up firing most of the employee staff. Decided to keep me on, or at least offer to keep me on. And I told them no. I said, no, I appreciate the offer, but the fact that there was so little oversight and we really, really needed help, and we wanted to reach out to you as the owner to kind of take hold of these managers that weren't really doing their job. And as a result, we didn't have guidance, and the restaurant eventually ended up going under. So I would say that really taught me that communication is very, very important with employees from management, and that there has to be someone accountable at the very top. And if you can't get in touch with that person, and you can't, even voice your concerns, and you don't feel very valued as an employee, and it doesn't really make you want to work very hard for them. You don't feel very motivated. You don't feel very supported. And as a result, that business went under. And then I would say more recently, I had a much better experience working for another startup. This one was a gym in Miami. So obviously it's a new gym. It still has its growing pains, which I expected. And they did have a good manager owner, who I worked for. And this was a much different experience in my restaurant. I would say that this owner slash manager was more of a transformational owner. He did have a business partner who was different than him. The business partner was more of a micromanager, more authoritarian. But the original owner kind of noticed this and eventually took him out of a leadership role and had him work more behind the scenes. But just being aware of that was helpful. And one thing that he did really, really well was he had a vision for this new gym, this new system of working out and running a group fitness class. It was really interesting. It was actually a really creative idea, and he just was excellent at getting us enthused or motivated about promoting this new idea, about promoting this business. He was charismatic, but he was also friendly. So he had really, really good rapport with all the employees. We felt comfortable with him. He was always open to us talking to him. We could text him, we could email him. And he was always involved. He was at the gym constantly. He would be there mingling with clients or helping the general manager. We could always go up to him and give our opinions, tell him our concerns, and he was always very open and understanding of it. And I think as a result, I ended up working here much longer than I may have stayed at another gym while I was in school. And even decided that I wanted to work up and try to advance my position there. Um, they were good with rewarding employees that put in the extra effort. They would always give you recognition. Every month or so, we'd have employee meetings. Every month there would be a new employee of the month, and they did a pretty good job mixing up who received the bonus for that. And then I just think the overall wanting to hear the opinion of the employee, making the employee feel valued, and always being there and being willing to hear our concerns was great. And I think a lot of times companies have a difficult time kind of balancing what the client wants with what the employee wants. And I feel like despite some of the growing pains of this new company, they did a very good job kind of balancing those two things. So if there was ever a conflict between, say, like a client and an employee, they were excellent at kind of hearing both sides and being very reasonable about it and coming to a decision that ultimately everyone would be happy with. So I feel like they kind of taught me that if I'm ever going to be a leader, I need to be open-minded. I need to have open communication. I need to have those walls open. I need to take whatever any employee says seriously, and I want them to feel valued, especially if I want them to stick around and be productive. I think they need to feel like their concerns are being heard, and I also feel like there needs to be some room for growth or promotion. If you feel like that you're not going to grow or be promoted within the company, then what's keeping you there long term. And then also just his enthusiasm for the goal of the company, which is one, to expand the company, and two, give just a really awesome service to clients that came in. And it's really kind of motivating to see someone who's really enthusiastic about the product and really enthusiastic about the outcomes that they're getting at the gym, and he just seemed genuine. So I think if I were ever to be in that leadership position, I would want to be genuine, have good communication, have the employees not be intimidated by me, feel like they can come up to me and talk to me at any point. And if there is a legitimate problem, brainstorm actual solutions with them, take it seriously, and see what we can come up with to help them out. So hopefully I would be a transformational leader.